Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with me, your host. Awesome week ahead of us today. First things first, though, I am leaving for California today. I'm about to be going on the plane by the time you listen to this, and I'm on my way to the left coast. I am on my way to go see a band called The Ghost Inside. If you're not familiar with The Ghost Inside, they are they're a metal band, and about 4 years ago, they were on they were all on a tour bus driving back from a show, and a fucking 18-wheeler crushed into them. And it was a fatal accident. It killed their bus driver, killed the 18-wheeler driver. Every member of the band thankfully survived, but they all had to go through some trials and tribulations. So, this band has been around for a minute, and, it was a big part of, my friends and, our summer playlist, you know what I mean? We listen to it all the time. And they got in this crazy accident. We were like, what the fuck? Because, it was a super serious accident. People were dying, and we didn't know, how bad anyone else was hurt or anything like that. And then it came out that, the drummer and the drummer had to get his fucking leg cut off. It's just crazy chaos. No one knew what was going to happen with the band, and no one knew if they were going to come back, if they were going to play again. No one really knew what was going on. And I don't know how long it was ago, but they changed their photo on Facebook, and everyone was like, what the fuck? What does this mean? Is this a new album? Is this new music? What does this mean? And then they just posted this platform, or this photo. It was called Rise of the Phoenix. I believe that's what they called it. But it was a one show. Maybe it'll be more now because of the turnout, but they planned on just having one show in LA at the Shrine. And I'm going. Me and a couple of my friends, we just bought tickets, said fuck it. I'm going to fly over to California, go watch this show, and it's going to be incredible. It's absolutely going to be incredible. After 4 years, you never know if they're going to come back, and they're just, they posted this, and they were like, hey, we're going to do this show this night, and we're just going to see how it goes. And then it ended up selling out in 2 minutes, and it's just been on the positive ever since. So super excited about that. Always cool to get off and go on vacation a little bit. But yeah, so California is going to be dope. I'm excited about that. Another thing I wanted to go over was Stranger Things 3. I'm not going to spoil anything on here because I know people haven't watched it yet, but me and my wife finished it, and I will tell you that I thought it was fantastic. I'm a big fan of the show. The first season was incredible. Second season was good. It was good. Wasn't as good as the first, but it was good. This third season, I think I like it more. It's really great. They definitely got more intense with it, and you're like, Jesus. But it's absolutely worth watching. If you haven't watched Stranger Things yet, I don't understand what you're doing. But I'm excited. I'm real excited about all this. So this week, I talked to, he goes by the cheese guy. His name's Adam Ehrlichman, and he has been the cheese guy at Penn Mac for close to 15 years. And I came across him through one of the listeners. She was like, yo, there's this dude from Penn Mac. He basically knows everything there is to know about cheese. He travels around, sees cool shit. He might be a cool dude to talk to. So I looked at his profile. Obviously it looked fucking awesome. I'm a big fan of cheese, so I was like, definitely I'm going to talk to this dude. And he worked at Penn Mac, which is that's a staple in the city. A bunch of staples in these past few weeks. But yeah, I'm pumped about it. So I hit Adam up and I was like, yo, dude, would you ever like to come on this podcast and kind of talk to me about cheese? And he was like, absolutely. So then I went a little bit further. I was like, what about if I threw you some money to bring some cheese to my house for us to try while we were interviewing? And he was like, absolutely, I'll do that. But so he comes over and he brings 6 of these high-end delicious cheeses, and cuts them all up, and we just start talking. It's a great conversation. I'm going to warn you ahead of time, there's chewing in there a little bit. Anytime I try some cheese, I'm trying to get the full effect of it. You'll hear a little bit, like a little rat eating some cheese. But you got to deal with it. I'm sorry. I was just tasting some cheese, and it ain't going to be like that all the time. So, I mean, we're talking basically about everything there is to know about cheese. You know, like, I don't know anything about cheese, so I sound like a moron, but I try to get there. You know what I mean? I try to get to where we need to go with a conversation about cheese, and I thought it turned out fantastic. So without further ado, episode 78 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Adam Ehrlichman of Penn Mac.
Telephone.
Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. Call you right back.
Telephone.
I'll Call You Right Back podcast. Do you guys have like now being in Penn Mac, do you have to like control the climate and shit because of like the heat and humidity?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to that. We don't do a lot of pre-cuts. We just do pre-cuts for Saturday, Sunday.
What's that mean, pre-cut?
Like cheeses that are cut before you walk into the store.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we'll do pre-cuts on certain items like Reggiano Parmesan, because I like to have available cracked Reggiano Parmesan, and you can't crack it to order.
Yeah.
Pre-cuts for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we'll do that on Thursday and Friday. But like, you have to be way more selective during the heat. We have air conditioning, but it only goes so far.
Yeah,
And
probably people
I'll
coming
move
in and out.
displays. Like, I'll move cheese displays, but also like the rotation of like cheeses that are going to be cracked, be sitting out to when they come out changes during the summer.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, how far ahead of time do you like have this like, you know, scheduled out of what you're gonna crack and what you're gonna, you know?
I mean, I usually know all through the week what I'm going to need for when. I know how many wheels of Reggiano are going to need to be split.
Okay.
And you don't really want to be splitting them cold out of the fridge. So I'll bring them like up to 2 days in advance if it's not very hot.
Yeah.
Up to 3 days in advance. If it's really hot, you know, day and a half before I'm going to need them, I'll bring out, you know, 4 wheels of Reggiano Parmigiano for the weekend.
How big is a wheel?
90 pounds.
90 pounds of cheese.
Yeah.
And you go through 4 in a weekend.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so it's like 6-7 wheels a week probably. And that'll also, you know, we'll have a half a wheel left for Monday morning.
Wow.
Already open.
That many people buy that cheese.
Yeah, so we're probably, I mean, we buy it by the pallet. There's 24 90-pound wheels on a pallet. Do about a pallet a month of the 24-month Vecchia Rosa that we have. Or the
Jeez.
24-month Parmigiano Reggiano that we have here.
Okay. All right. So for everyone listening, you know, Adam's been the cheese guy at Penn Mac for, what, 16 years?
Since 05, so...
Or 14 years?
15 years in October.
Oh, in October 15.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay, so now what I do for opening this podcast is I do an opening segment with everyone called What's in the Cup.
What's in the cup?
So what's in your cup?
San Pellegrino.
San Pellegrino. I'm a fan of seltzer water. I mean, not too many people get it on here. Usually we have all kinds of different, drinks that people request, but I don't think anyone has had seltzer water. But I'm a fan of it.
You know, I had acid reflux
Okay.
for like years now.
Yeah.
And I went on a trip to Italy a few months ago
Yeah.
to tour cheese production. And every dinner, every lunch, every meal, there was still water and seltzer water. I started drinking the seltzer water at every meal. I didn't have acid reflux a single time.
Really?
On my whole Italian trip, I've gotten it maybe one time in the months since, and I just drink San Pellegrino with my meals.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty bizarre.
Yeah, I think it kills the acid.
Like neutralize it or something.
Yeah, like taking a seltzer.
Okay, so we have a special segment that we're going to do with this. We're going to call it Try the Cheese. So, I mean, you brought how many different kinds of cheeses? 6?
We have 6 cheeses.
6 cheeses. And now, can you name off what they are?
We have the Parmigiano Reggiano 24 month, Beaufort Ite, which is an all summer milk Beaufort. We have from Somerset, England, Westcombe Cheddar. It's one of 3 name controlled English cheddars. We are one of the only people that have Young Crotonnaise. It's a traditional Calabrian sheep's milk cheese, and they bring it in just for us.
Jeez.
Yeah, Forever Cheese, Mitica brings it in just for us, and we get 12 wheels a month. Then from the USA, original Dumbarton Blue is a blued cheddar with a bloomy rind. So they make these little wheels of cheddar, cellar age them with and spike them, and there's a little bit of penicillin roquefort on the outside and a little bit of white flori. It blooms up, gets a nice little spice to the cheddar, and then we have Brie Ferminier. It's a French cow's milk brie, 45% fat and dry matter, super good, very vegetable flavors, broccoli, tasty, good.
Now, were you into cheese before you started working there?
Before I started working at Pennsylvania Macaroni, I was 18 years old.
18.
And I was not into cheese.
Are you 34?
33, yeah.
30, okay.
So in February, I'll be 34.
All right.
So I was 18. Fresh out of high school, 2005, 19 years old, put in an application for Penn Mac. I was working at yinz Pretzels at South Hills Village Mall.
All right.
And not loving it. My buddy was working at Penn Mac at the deli, and it seemed pretty cool. It seemed like a cooler place to commute to.
Yeah.
I was getting started on going to school for welding. I was going to do, and I did complete my 3G welding certification, and I worked as a TIG welder for a year a little bit later. But while I was going to school, I was working in the Penn Mac deli. I started learning about all the different prosciutti and meat cuts. I thought it was pretty cool to know about that. And I was looking down at the cheese counter, and I told my boss, I said, hey, I would really want to learn that, because I was like, and this was before I saw specialty cheese blow up. It's way more popular now. But people always loved it. It always had a following.
Yeah.
And I was like, that would be way cooler to learn about while I'm going to school than, sticking with the cold cuts. So yeah, not too long after that, I got the job working at the cheese counter. Loved it. Graduated school.
Yeah.
Left. I worked in a fabrication shop for almost a year, and then Dave Sinceri called me. He said, we'd love to have you back.
Who is that?
The owner of Pennsylvania Macaroni.
Okay.
Owner-president. Dave, Rick.
Now, is that now, it's been around since 1902?
Around since 1902. Originally, they imported and repacked macaroni products, olive oils, and then they had a fire. They were in the suburbs right outside of Pittsburgh, and I think they had already been investing in some property in the Strip District.
Yeah.
So they opened up a grocery. I guess it was like a wholesale grocery, but it was always open to the public.
Yeah.
So other little neighborhood groceries would come and buy stuff from us.
Ah.
And
it's always been at that location?
It's always been at that location since 1910, 1908.
Really?
Something like that. And then they built the warehouse behind us was built in the 70s.
Ah, okay.
And
wow.
yeah, so then they started doing in the 50s, I guess the pizza shops started opening. Got big in the 80s. Italian food got really big, and we had a nice distribution network set up.
Was there anyone else that had cheese around?
See, I think the cheese really started at the end of the 80s.
Yeah.
At the end of the 1980s. And no, nobody else was doing cheese. We were the only show in town.
Only show in town.
For a really long time. There were, I think, at that time, I think in the 70s, 80s, I think there were other Italian grocers that had the similar cheeses.
But nothing of that variety.
But coming into the 90s, when David Sinceri took over, for his father.
Yeah.
I think that he really put a lot into growing it into a world-class cheese counter. And, not just having the Jarlsberg, the Pecorino Romano, the Reggiano Parmesan.
Are those
really,
all like the...
Those are the classic, I
the
think you would
mainstreams?
expect at a cheese at a cheese place or at a grocery, at a specialty grocery store. But like way before it was really a thing to try to get, especially around here, any kind of cool French cheeses or anything like that. I think
out of the box.
Yeah, I think that, he remodeled that whole place. He put a new counter in there, new coolers, gave us lots of room. And, then through the 80s and the 90s, it just grew and grew.
Wow.
And over the last 10 years, it's gone crazy in my time there since 2005.
Yeah, like going down there, the strip is busy every weekend, all weekend. You have to see all kinds of craziness down there.
Oh, yeah.
Probably get all kinds of people that come in for all different reasons.
All kinds of people. And that is one super cool thing, is that we get all kinds of people, and they're shopping. I brought you a bunch of really high-end cheese. There's all kinds of cheese that, is still worth caring about.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just the most expensive thing. It's having good products that are affordable, too.
Absolutely.
It's playing to your consumers, which is where I think that because, as I was saying, only show in town for so long, the local chains have really rolled out. I remember, and this is probably 10 years ago, I was just working at the cheese counter, minding my own business.
Yeah.
And all these managers came in from the local chain.
Okay.
And they were having a big conference with all their managers discussing the future of their business model. And they wanted them all to tour the Strip District.
Because you guys had
Because they were opening the Market District. And... about a year after that, they launched their program, and their stores were at that time, cut to order. But it never happened. I don't think it ever, it did happen. I think that company has brought a lot of good cheese and made it more accessible to people.
Yeah.
And that's what I think ultimately about anybody else playing in the cheese game in the city or the specialty foods game is, everybody just makes specialty food more accessible to everyone.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's good for all of us.
Absolutely, because
there's times where if they weren't buying it from me, maybe they wouldn't be eating something, So I think it keeps interest, but I think that we have the ability to hear our customers more clearly and to react more quickly.
I think that
being an independent grocer.
I think the chain helps with starting a spark with
Right.
people because for me I used to my dad used to buy like the Giant Eagle bricks of sharp cheddar, extra sharp cheddar, and it's like that was always in the house and everything like that, and like that's what made me start to enjoy charcuterie boards or knockoff ones where we have some deer jerky and like some sharp cheddar on the low end, but I've always enjoyed it. And like going to them market districts, you see
all kinds of cool products,
all kinds of different things. And then once you have that one accessible out of the box cheese and like you like it and you see that there's so much possibility out there, that's whenever I feel like you guys come into play. And
that's when you can start to go to the specialty cheese shop.
Yeah, and you could kind of exercise your interests with all this stuff. So before we get too into this, let's crack into one of these that you brought. So which one do you think first?
I say go right to the Parmigiano Reggiano.
Parmigiano Reggiano.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna eat this. Now, where's this from?
This is from Emilia-Romagna.
Say it again.
Emilia-Romagna.
Where's that?
Central Italy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's made in 5 regions in central Italy. This wheel comes from Farm 822. It's overseen by the consortium of Reggiano Parmesan, who's overseen its production for 700 years.
700?
Yeah, this cheese actually, and Grana, more specifically, this style of cheese, this granular style of cheese from that region, traces clear back to the Roman Empire, and this is what soldiers would carry with them for food. And the big wheel, like we discussed a little earlier, cracking the big wheels, how you put the knives in and you crack the wheels down. That toolkit would be with the Roman army, and they would crack it and they would eat cheese.
Now I love this. Like that's I love it. I love that one. It's very
I
very
think
good.
it's often referred to as the king of cheese.
King of cheese. It's just it's tasty. I like.
It's completely balanced.
It's not too like funky,
It's not too funky.
but it still has a little bit of like a little bit of depth.
It has depth, but it's not super challenging.
And you said this was how did you say that the type of cheese it is? The granular. What's it called?
Grana, but this is actually this cheese is a cooked curd cow's milk cheese.
Cooked curd. So what's
Yeah.
the process of this?
They gather milk in the evening
Yeah.
and they let it sit overnight. It's naturally part skimmed.
Okay.
Some of that milk is maybe used to make a number of cheeses that have added dairy fat, like mascarpone or maybe butter.
Yeah.
The next day, the fresh milk is gathered in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's mixed with it. They add animal rennet as a coagulant, and to acidify the cheese, it breaks it into curds. You know, so
okay.
it basically it starts the acidification process, and it curdles the cheese. This cheese is cut into very small little rice grain sized bits. And then heat is turned on and all the curd floats to the bottom. So one cauldron, I can't remember how many tons of milk, makes exactly 2 wheels of Reggiano Parmigiano Reggiano.
It takes tons of wheels to make.
It takes
tons of milk.
It takes tons. It's a huge,
Wow.
huge copper pot.
To make
it's
2 wheels.
massive. To make 2 wheels. I mean, I don't know these dimensions. It's huge. It's like tons of milk.
A bit like a bit like a 90-pound wheel of cheese.
To make 2 90-pound wheels of cheese.
Holy
Always 2.
shit!
So yeah, that's actually the amount of milk that cauldron holds is enough to make 2 wheels. Reggiano are always twins.
Wow. And you said that is 24 month.
This is 24 month. The nicest wheels get aged for up to 24 months. So they cut the curds down. They
Yeah.
turn the heat on. It's a cooked curd cheese.
Okay.
So they cut the curd small to get all the whey and the moisture out.
Yeah.
And they turn the heat on to do the same. It all sinks down to the bottom. They lift it up, cut it in half. They put this metal cage on it.
Yeah.
Let it sit overnight. The next day it goes into a 30-day salt brine.
Really?
And then, over the course of the next year, after a year, it will be tested by the consortium, and it will be given one of 5 grades. It will it will not be allowed to carry the insignia Reggiano Parmesan. It will be a Mezzano, which most of the rind gets stripped off, so it's still a Reggiano, but it's the lowest quality.
Yeah.
Just above that is a 1. Those are allowed to stay Reggiano Parmesan, but they should be eaten now. Past that, you have the zeros, the aged 18 to 22 months, and then you have the Ochile quality, can age 24 months, perhaps longer.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's really whatever amount of imperfections might be in the wheel it gets tested for.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen with the cheese hammer.
What is
And they're
that test? Like
tapping.
air bubbles?
It's testing for air bubbles. That's exactly what it is. If you ever open up like a lower quality wheel of Parmigiano, you'll see, holes ranging from a 1/2 inch to just under 2 inches, maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty crazy. I never knew that. Now,
And that gives it a funkiness as it approaches that grander age. So it's not just the time that this was aged that is the money. It's the quality of the wheel that gets aged that long.
oh, geez. And so now this is 24 months, so this is a good one.
This is a very good one.
Wow.
I think that this is the best bang for your buck. I mean, we sell it for $15.99 a pound. Standard national price is $20 a pound or higher, and most people don't have the real deal Reggiano.
I love
They
it.
just
I could
don't.
eat a whole brick of that. Now,
Yeah,
you could put that on. Now, what is that? I mean, you can basically put it on whatever you want.
you can put it on whatever you want. I really love to eat 24-month Reggiano. It's great on pasta. It's great, with the cream sauce. I don't know how you could mess it up.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like you can just put it on
Yeah,
whatever you
it's
want.
really, I mean, it's just something great to have.
Now that's Parmesan. Now the Parmesan cheese you get in the shaker bottles from Giant Eagle or whatever, wherever.
Yeah. I
Now-
mean, it's not even Parmigiano.
Yeah, like that's what I was gonna say. Like now, compared to this stuff, like what is that? Like what are you
That
getting
is
with
a
that?
pressed curd cheese.
Pressed curd.
Yeah, so they press the moisture out, and they cure those wheels a lot quicker. They do have a bit of nuttiness, generally like the Parmigiano does. There's also, I mean, there's some better domestic makers. I mean, obviously the big guys that you're talking about in the green can, I mean, it's not good.
Yeah.
At all. It's not good product.
I mean, it has to be obvious.
There's anti-binding agents. It is obvious when you taste this that that's not good.
Yeah,
But
it's just white powder.
I grew up with it.
Yeah, everyone grew up with it.
And you never really know until you have food that smacks you in your cerebellum.
Yeah.
It smacks you in your frontal lobe. You kind of don't know.
Yeah. People would never know. It's like you get that powder in a
people
jar.
would never know.
And it's like you said, it's what we all grew up with. Now, what's the next one we got here?
The Summer Milk Beaufort.
Summer Milk Beaufort.
Yeah. So it's like Gruyere.
Yeah.
It's Alpine cow's milk cheese in a large format.
Okay.
This one comes from France. It's an AOC cheese,
Okay.
aged 1 year. It's killer. I mean, it's a little sweeter than Gruyere. So this is like an early kind of. Both of these cheeses are sort of an early industrialization of cheese. You
Yeah.
know, these cheeses were made, 1,000, 2,000 years ago. Well over 1,500 years, these cheeses have been made.
Yeah.
Cheeses like this have been made in these regions. This is one of the greats. It's got a fudgy kind of texture.
Yeah.
It's got a sweetness and it's got a lot of depth. I think that this is maybe the standard of a good cheese counter in France, and you don't really see it that much in the U.S., but we bring it in by the 90-pound wheel.
Really? This is a popular one?
Yeah, it's very good.
All right, I'm going to try it. Wow. After you say it's a fudgy taste, or fudgy texture, it really is.
Just the way that it
Breaks apart.
on your teeth, and then there's space between it when it hits your tongue.
Yeah. Now, it is a little bit sweeter, too. It has like a sweetness to it. It's interesting because, I never really cared about it all. And then I went to, I was telling you before we started recording, we went to Salem on my honeymoon, and we went to the Salem Cheese Shop. And it's like, that was the first place I've ever been to where there was exotic cheeses, because I don't ever really go down to Penn Mac unless now I'm into cheese a little bit. Like I'll go down there and see what you guys got. But before that, I was just your typical dollar block from the frozen food aisle and wherever.
And
But
one thing, that is really cool is that you could definitely come down to our cheese counter not knowing a lot about what you're doing and just, trying to find something. As long as you communicate. I have 5 cheesemongers always there. Not at all times, but I have 5 cheesemongers. It's always staffed with cheesemongers to talk to.
where's that name come from? Cheesemongers.
I guess. I've only seen it pop up in the last couple of years, but I think it comes from fishmonger, somebody that sells fish, a purveyor of,
Makes sense.
and knowledgeable of.
That cheese that we just had was it was good. I like that one. It's not as aggressive with the pungent. It's not as pungent.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a little smoother than some of the Gruyères or other cheeses in that family.
Yeah, that's good though. It's it's softer for sure. I don't dislike that at all. I'm usually not like a soft cheese guy. I usually like a pungent cheese, like blue cheese, like anything like that. Anything that it's kind of stinky, I enjoy that. But the soft cheese, I'm usually not a big fan of it all. But whatever. All right. So what's the next one we got here?
I think next we're going to go to the Crotonnaise,
Okay.
the young Crotonnaise.
Now
Yeah.
I'm gonna smell this. Kind of smells like I don't know. What is the scent? What would you say it is?
To me, it smells like sheep smoke cheese.
Oh, really? I mean, I guess.
I mean, I smell it smells to me, it smells like Pecorino. The first thing I think is Pecorino Romano, and then I get a little bit of that fresh.
Now
the fresh is a little more like grass, but this doesn't have a lot of grass.
But it smells like a fresh. It has like a fresh like a
smell.
lighter scent.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's also not pungent.
It still has a great texture.
Yeah, it almost like has a. See, to this, I feel like that there's not a crazy amount of taste here.
No, it's just light.
Yeah, it's
buttery.
light. It's a light, like. It's not anything overwhelming, but it still has something there.
Be a good topping on like a focaccia.
Yeah, something
on a
that's
pizza thing.
something that's not real crazy that's going to overpower the rest of the dish.
Or if you have like a casein allergy, maybe you could use this to make something instead of a cow's milk.
This stuff is
cheese.
real good.
It's
I like
pretty
this.
approachable.
Yeah, I
think
like
people
this.
like this stuff in Italy, like for breakfast, maybe.
Yeah,
It's a good.
I like that for sure. Then you said that's from Italy.
That's from Italy, Calabria.
Now all these last three cheeses we had, like I definitely say that this last one is more similar to the second one we tried. Like as far as like texture, is that correct?
Definitely of those three, those are more similar. I think that there's definitely texturally there's some differences, but as far as density goes
Yeah.
and moisture, they're pretty close.
Yeah. Huh. I mean, I guess you can get as in depth as you want with
You
it.
can get as in depth as you want with it,
Yeah, it's like
or you cannot.
yeah, I mean it's like people get crazy into IPAs and coffee and like
I love those things too.
yeah, like I love it. I do. I never loved
Love it.
I never loved coffee ever, and I started to love it very, very much. So like I start to like, how we were talking about like you have one or two from like your mainstream place, and then you start going and seeking out like the more exotic, the more like high quality places. Like I'll go to, instead of a Starbucks, like don't get me wrong, I'll fuck with a Starbucks every once in a while, but like
Yeah.
I'll go to, the different coffee shops and try like the different roasts that they have and like the different tastes that they have. I just got to make my own coffee with Black Forge Coffee Shop. You know of them?
Yeah,
Black-
I've heard of Black Forge Coffee Shop.
I went there and I got to
need to
roast
check
my
them
own
out.
coffee with them, and it
Oh,
was
that's
like
super cool.
it was a cool idea. Like it was a cool experience to like see how the
to see how everything comes together.
see how it comes together from like a fresh bean to a roast. Like I got to do it all.
I've seen a lot of cheese production.
Yeah, I saw. So on your Instagram, I saw that like you've traveled a good bit of places. Like you just said you were in Italy. Now, as far as like, see, I feel like that with this cheese trying, like we're getting off base with all this. So I want to rewind just a little bit. Now you started working there whenever you were 18 years old, and
Just turned 19, yeah.
just turned 19. Now, what about the cheese made you kind of like stick with it? I mean, if you're doing it for 14 years, I mean, it's got to be something that you enjoy pretty much.
I love it. I just love it. I mean, I love exploring it. I love finding new things for people. I love sourcing things for people. I
Yeah.
like sourcing things for chefs. I love sourcing things for individuals.
So you have people that come in and say like, I need this type of cheese. Like, can you help me out with that?
And it really depends if it's a category. And if I hear enough people ask me for it, it's going to come in.
Yeah.
If it's something that I think that I can sell, definitely it's going to come in.
Yeah. Now, what about as far as like, would you say Pittsburgh has like a what's the word?
Thriving food culture.
Well, that too, but like, is there a lot of people that are getting real diverse with the types of cheeses that they want?
Absolutely. And I mean, from my perspective, we have a really diverse citizenship in Pittsburgh. We have a lot of Europeans,
Yeah.
and we have a lot of, multicultural families.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
I mean,
And you probably have to see it all.
I have a lot of French customers. I have a lot of German customers. I have a ton of Italian customers. And then I have, the second and the third generations of those families.
Yeah.
And just in general, people love to try new and exciting things, and they like when it's being selected well and it's being selected for quality.
Yeah. No, I saw a couple
Definitely.
pictures where you were like, you had a table there and you were presenting cheeses and you had like,
Yeah.
like like you just do that down there sometimes? Like,
Yeah, so sometimes we'll be doing, like I think up on my page there's maybe doing the uncommon flavors of Europe.
Yeah, that's
which
where I
is,
saw it,
is
yeah.
something that we do every year, and we just signed on for 2020. And that's just to draw attention to things that come from Europe and are name controlled. So it's all about the PGI designation.
what is PGI?
It's protected geographical identification.
Oh, okay.
So that's the English, and then in French it's AOC, AOP in Switzerland, DOP in Spain, DOP, DOC in Italy. And most of those products are like Speck, which is a smoked prosciutto from Alto Adige.
Yeah.
You'll see Speck, written in an American supermarket. It's some bunk smoked ham, Not if you get it from our deli.
Yeah.
Or you'll see Asiago. Yes, of course we sell domestic Asiago, but I'm happy to draw attention to that. Asiago is a traditionally made DOC Italian Alpine cheese that tastes nothing like the Asiago that is made in the United States. It's not the same thing. Not that amazing cheeses aren't made here. Amazing cheeses are made in this country. I think going into the future, I think that the world is going to see some really amazing things happening here in food. I firmly believe in it, but the things that are made for 1,000 years that we just make cheaper, I have no interest in.
Yeah.
But I still source them and I cut them fresh to order.
Yeah, because there's some other people that do.
Yeah,
want
because
that.
there's people that want that. Or, there's situations where I might need to save money. I can never really go ahead and save money on cheese. I got to bring the nicest cheese anywhere I go. But not that I wouldn't do that with something. Oh, nobody's going to.
Yeah.
Or like, this is what they like. But, I always got to bring the nicest cheese.
Now, whenever you started at this counter, though, like, were you picky with everything?
I was.
Were you?
I'm going to come out of the closet on that one. I was totally a picky eater all my life until I really threw myself hardcore in the food life.
Yeah.
And I was in Italy last month. I ate calabrine and tendon and like spinal cord.
Really?
I ate raw horse.
Raw
with
horse.
raw quail eggs. I ate raw pheasant.
Jesus.
I eat anything. I started eating like oysters. I'll eat at this point. I'll eat anything. And when I started at the cheese counter at that first year, I did not eat blue cheese.
Oh, really?
I admit it, and it was like it was a real process of me like psyching myself. I'm 33 years old now.
Well, how did you get into it? Like, what started it off?
I guess it just excited me, the food stuff, and it was always something. I would go to somebody like a friend's house in middle school. And I would definitely be a little sketched out by what somebody might be eating.
Yeah.
And, that kind of stuff, I think that's a lot of people.
Absolutely.
But I think I really started to kind of just, like, fighting that is exciting. And then once you get past it, and it's like everything is just flavors and textures. And I think part of it for me is, like, I've noticed that some of these people have crazy sharp palates. But I do have a pretty sensitive palate, and I'm pretty sensitive to textures. So I think a lot of that was I would try something, and I didn't have the vocabulary that I needed to understand what I was eating.
Yeah.
So it's just like hearing static. It's like when you look at something and you can't. It doesn't come together as an image in your mind.
Like
I think I would try something and I would just be like, gross.
A perfect example for me is bone marrow. So
Right.
bone marrow, like I always, I would see it. I knew that it was a thing, and I'm friends
And the
with.
first time I had it was tough.
It's weird because like you're basically, it's a canoe cut bone marrow it's just a bone cut in half filled with Jello. Basically, it looks like Jello, and
Yeah.
then you scoop it out and you scrape it over a toast point or whatever, and. If you don't understand that you're going in there and it's going to be a weird texture, it's basically like smoky butter. That's
Right.
what that's
Yeah.
that's the closest thing that I can.
Yeah, little dense, like more pulled.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
drier, like a oil, like a I don't know.
Yeah, it's different.
it's definitely
It was
different.
just it's a challenging food.
Absolutely,
is the
it's
thing.
challenging.
And I think that in our society, we are so removed from our food that, I did not have the vocabulary to digest what I was tasting.
Yeah, because
to understand it in my mind.
you might hate that texture of that bone marrow and like completely disregard the taste of it, which you
Right.
might like very much.
Right, but then once you're like, oh, this texture is so.
Yeah.
I think that you can really start to enjoy the thing in front of you, and like what your food is and where it comes from. I mean, okay, you eat a clump of fat inside of a sandwich with beef, or you eat it out of the bone marrow. I mean, if you really break it down, who cares? But our minds are filled with these crazy images of animals, and I mean, I love animals, but I think we're so removed. We think we're sympathetic, but we're so removed from what we're always doing and eating, and from our food. It's crazy.
100% were removed. Like like I said, like I've talked about this numerous times. I love animals, but like I'll still eat a chicken from Chick-fil-A and things like that. And you're removed from that because like those chickens are getting fucked up. Like them chickens are not living a good life.
Right? They're not living a good life. I stopped. I was in Milan and I stopped for a porchetta sandwich.
Yeah.
And the porchetta had a face on it. It had the face stretched over the end of the pork loin.
Really?
And I was just like, oh wow, and it was delicious, and it's just stuff like that really makes you think we are so removed from our food.
A lot
and,
of
like,
people
what
are
it
removed.
really is.
A lot of people are removed, but I think like nowadays, like
It's definitely
it's
coming
coming
around.
back. It's coming
Yeah.
back more intense than it's ever have. Okay, so now you didn't eat blue cheese. Now I didn't. I also did not eat blue cheese. My dad and my mother loved what is it, St. Edward's blue cheese dressing that had like the big ass clumps of blue cheese, and I was like, that's trash. Like I can't believe yins are eating that. And now there is nothing I love more than a good blue cheese.
Right.
I
I love blue cheese. I
It's
mean,
unreal.
we generally carry at least 30 varieties of blue cheese at any given time at the store.
And I didn't know
We've
how
gone
many.
up to 38.
That's
for the
insane.
holidays?
I didn't even understand that there was that many until I went to that cheese shop. I think there was 15 different ones just on there, and he was just giving me all different ones to try. And like,
Right. And the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is that they're all different cheeses until they get blued.
yeah,
That's the ripening process.
yeah. Now what do we got next up on this board?
I mean, I think we better hit the blue cheese.
Yeah, let's hit this blue
And
cheese.
this is Bloomy Rind cave aged cheddar.
This is it right
It's
here.
a blued cheddar.
All right. Oh, I'm excited about
And
it.
it's good. It's very American style cheddar, very acid.
On it smells. It's definitely has a pungence. Like it's definitely pungent. Oh, I love that. Yeah, it's great. Now that texture is the softest of all the ones that we've had so far.
For sure.
Now, what is the process you're talking about whenever you say blued?
Well, they actually they stick spikes through the cheese,
Yeah.
and then on the outside they put penicillin roqueforti,
What is that?
which is a penicillin mold spore native to caves, like the Roquefort caves where they age French Roquefort.
Really?
Yeah, and there are a couple of different. That's referred to as a secondary starter bacteria, so it's not acidification or congelation. It's after that, so it's like after the cheese has been formed, this is done to it, and yeah, it just breaks down some sugars and turns them into a tasty, spicy mold.
Is
And there are a couple different. The most common is the penicillin roqueforti.
Yeah.
There's a couple of different ones.
Now, how old is this cheese? How long does it how old is it, and how long does it take to get this?
I mean, I think that this one goes to about 4 months.
4 months.
Yeah, I don't know for sure offhand, but I'm thinking that's around 4 months.
And now, is this considered a higher quality cheese, or?
This would be a high-end cheese.
High-end cheese.
Yeah, I would say it's, it would be, it would be one of the prettier, nicer things on a cheese plate. It would be one of the ones you kind of spring for.
Now, you could definitely taste the difference in everything compared to, like, whatever that brand is in a little plastic container with a blue lid.
Oh, yeah. And this is a very different style of blue cheese.
Yeah, like, this is like a creamy blue cheese almost. Like, now, let me ask you a question. Why are the chunks... Now, this blue cheese is a solid piece rather than like the cheese that, some blue cheese you get at a
Right.
restaurant that's
So,
like
coagulation.
liquidy.
It really depends on how the curds are treated. Just like this is a cooked curd cheese.
Yeah.
And this is not.
Yeah.
This is a cooked curd cheese. But like a Roquefort, they're just pushing those curds together. They're not doing whatever they're doing however they're treating the curds in one that has more moisture. They're not doing a lot to get rid of the moisture.
Ah.
Now
how many different processes are there of cheese?
there is a lot. I mean, there's a lot of little things. There's a high number of variables.
Really?
There's a high number of variables, and every little thing can change everything so much. But there's, to try to make it, direct is like cheddar.
Yeah.
A lot of that, like cheddar is really the commodity cheese. It's basically a Reggiano recipe.
Yeah.
With a different slightly different starter, where they would do what's called cheddaring the curds. It's a milled curd cheese. They get the moisture out of it faster that way. Anyway, like a lot of the variants in a lot of the big block cheddars, how they taste is the lactic starter, and they produce a flavor from sweet to very acidic, and all kinds of places in between.
Yeah, it just depends on...
So, like, whatever they're using to start that cheese, that's going to be a huge variable. However, the curds to that cheese are cut.
Yeah, that's going to
be a huge variable. And then, however, those curds that have been cut have been treated, like fresh mozzarella. The proteins are just aligned by pulling the cheese until the proteins are aligned. So it's not like a curdy mess. It's just a smooth, aligned proteins. A cheese that's a pressed curd, they press them together, like the tome de Savoie. And then you can kind of see that, and you see how that ripens. A cheese like this brie here, is left with a lot of moisture, and then the secondary starter culture for this is something like penicillin camberdium. It's like a white fluoride. And what that does is that breaks down the proteins inside of this cheese, and they become unbound. So they go from larger groupings of proteins to smaller amino acids. And those amino acids kind of just swim around in that moisture unbound. That's why it actually gets softer.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. That's why it's soft?
That's why they get softer. Because even when I've brought this brie fermentier into stock, it was very firm.
Yeah.
And then I try to sell it when it's soft.
Ah, okay. Jeez. That's pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy.
It is. It's pretty crazy.
Time out the breeze is pretty crazy. You got to know when your people are getting them from, and when you want them to be out.
Now, jeez, this is insane. Now, whenever you were getting involved with all this pretty in-depth down at Penn Mac, how were you learning? Who was there to teach you this stuff?
So I learned a lot from Carol Pascuzzi in my first years working there, and then books, internet, talking to chefs.
Yeah,
has been a huge help. But I would say that I firmly am still constantly learning.
Oh, you have to be. You have to be constantly.
I
learning.
I learn a lot. Like I go to the American Cheese Society.
What is that?
It's a conference every year about cheese and cheese in the USA.
And you love it.
I love it. I learned a lot. Some years ago, I went on a trip to Wisconsin, and I traveled, and I went to like Uplands. They do the Pleasant Ridge Reserve. That's like USA, amazing USA cheese. I went to a lot of places. I was there for maybe 4 days, and I learned a ton. Going to things like Meet the Maker, where you can talk to all the cheesemakers. I've learned a ton. Spending time up at Goat Rodeo in Allison Park.
Goat Rodeo.
Local cheese producer.
Oh, that's a cheese producer? Goat Rodeo?
Yeah, and I really should have brought a piece of theirs because they make some really cool stuff.
I never heard about them.
You should get in contact with them.
Goat Rodeo.
Yeah.
I like that name.
Really
It sells me enough.
They're wonderful people, and they make really good cheese.
Now let me ask you a question.
Going up there, I learned a lot, and a lot of the people that I've worked with are super. I've worked with some really, obviously Carol Pascuzzi, Nick Pascuzzi.
Now let me ask you a question. Now come full circle. Who is Deerheart?
She's Carol Pascuzzi.
That's Carol Pascuzzi?
That's the Carol Pascuzzi. Yeah, Deerheart.
Okay. See, I'm real good friends with the chef and owner of Streets on Carson. You familiar with that place?
Yeah.
In Carson Street? So he told me that that was the first thing he mentioned to me. He was like, dude, there was legend down there. Her name was Deerheart. And then he told me, he was like, you got to ask him about that. And
oh, yeah. Carol is a legend.
No,
absolutely.
I saw it on Google, and like there's so many. You type in Deerheart and Penn Mac, and she's popping up everywhere.
So many news articles, so much coverage, and she deserves it. She was at Driving Force, for a long time, bringing in cool stuff, and she had the most amazing demeanor.
Yeah, that's what he said.
She was just so sweet, and she took it. It's tough, you do it every day, and you have to be like Carol. You have to remember to take people's cheese seriously.
Yeah.
You have to take it seriously every day. Every person is a new person. And she was amazing at that. And she did all kinds of amazing charity work through the years.
Okay. And she was there for a while?
She was there from 1984 to 2015 whenever I took over for her.
Holy shit.
And her husband was the buyer.
Wow.
So I learned a lot from him about, just inventorying product, product shelf life, stuff like that. And I've learned a lot even in the last few years. I work with Guy Tom, who's a wonderful chef from New York. He's been a chef for 30 years, and he's traveled the entire world. He was a Navy guy.
Oh, okay.
And him and his wife have moved around. They've lived everywhere in the U.S. So I'm always learning new stuff about, how, because he has the chef experience, how the food acts, or whatnot. He always has some cool information.
Insider.
I've got another cheesemonger, Thomas. I know they're Tom and Thomas. They're wonderful. He's been a cheesemonger for 18 years. He worked at Pike's Place.
Holy shit.
He's super cool, knows a million things. He'll talk cheese with me all morning.
Now, how many different varieties do you have down there?
Yeah, so that's the question. 500. No.
I thought you were serious.
So no, some years ago, that was always the thing, was that we had 400 cheeses, and then the market had 400, and then we had assumed to have 500. So I always hear that we have 400 or 500. The truth of the matter is that we never have less than 320, 330, and we generally don't ever have more than 390.
Varieties of cheese.
But in the course of a year, I would say we handle closer to the 5 or higher
of different
varieties of cheese. Yeah.
Now,
I would say stocked at the counter, we're usually at 350.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious. What is your favorite of all the cheeses that you have?
Oh. People always ask me that.
Yeah.
And it's always I always try to tell myself, hey, you should just come up with a really good answer to that question. And for me, I really see them all as very different products.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say my favorites, they're the big names. I love the Parmigiano Reggiano. I love the Colston Bassett Stilton. But the first cheese that I was ever in love with, that talking about not liking things to liking things.
Yeah.
I hated the way that Gruyere would make me smell when I took my bus home from work.
Yeah.
I used to commute by bus, and I would just hate Gruyere and then I started eating it. I always have some type of cooked curd Alpine cheese in the fridge.
cooked curd Alpine.
Yeah, like Gruyere, like your Beaufort here.
Yeah.
Or like a Waschtrein style like that, like the Haller Hawker
Okay.
or Appenzeller. So I would say like the first, like close to my heart, Gruyere. I love it. I mean, I love a well-aged Gruyere, Beaufort, Comté, like something in that family.
What's the most expensive cheese at Penn Mac?
Today, it's going to be the Beaufort that we're eating is retailing at $29.29.
This is $29.29. This is the most expensive right here.
Yeah, but it should retail for $45 a pound.
See, this thing right here is the most expensive that yinz have, but like this wouldn't be my first choice. It's not that it ain't good. It's just that I love like this is like almost like a little bit too plain for me.
I'm all day with it.
I mean,
I
I'm
love
sure
it.
you are. I'm sure you are. Because like, you know, I've talked to people 100 times on here, and like, if you're a musician, if you're something like that, it's like that's like your lane. You know everything
Right.
about that lane. For me, I'm just a fan. So like, I could listen to a song and think it's great overall, but a musician can critique it and cut it apart and get as in-depth as they want to with it and pick out certain things that I would never notice. And I'm sure you're the same way about that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time when I'm looking at like how much I really love a cheese, it's the jagged edges, you know, or the cleanness. Like
Yeah.
the overall, like how does it taste, and what can you do with it? I love this cheese. I love this Reggiano Parmesan. Reggiano Parmesan is really close to my heart.
Yeah.
I really think a lot of people have bad Parmigiano Reggiano,
Yeah.
and it's so. I mean, it's just so pleasing to eat.
Pleasing. That's exactly it. It's easy.
It's easy, yeah.
You don't have to. It's not like a hassle to find something to eat with it.
Right.
To like put it on pretty much whatever you want. So let me get into a little bit of like now. What were you doing as far as like, you know, if you're expanding your palette of this cheese and everything like that, you obviously have to like kind of, you know, get familiar with trying all these different kinds and like starting to like kind of expose yourself to all these different textures and
Right.
tastes and everything. Now, in your first, like, you know, when you're starting to do this, there's probably a lot of stuff that you didn't like.
There was a lot of stuff I didn't like, and I continued to eat.
And that's just what you
And I've done that for a lot of years now, because I mean I'm 33 and I started doing that when I was 19, 20.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. I don't think things bother me to eat in the same way. You know, not that it won't ever creep out, but I would just try to learn what it is, like what's the process of making it.
Yeah.
You know, and just jump in.
And as far as like now, when did you really start like getting involved with buying it all and everything?
So I was the assistant to Nick, the buyer, and that probably started in 2010, 2011. Like he was already well into his 60s, and
What's the process of that? It's like do you guys have a catalog that you just pick shit out of?
oh, I have plenty of catalogs. I definitely prefer to talk to people.
Yeah.
And taste. So, like for example, a couple weeks ago. I was at Fancy Foods New York.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of new stuff coming in that I tasted there.
And that place is basically you're going around and like those are cheese makers or
Well, so in this scenario, it's importers and distributors.
Okay.
Also, there are cheesemakers there, but more like that's more they're looking for distribution.
okay, yeah. But you're just basically going around and trying all different
Just
things.
going around and trying things and working out stuff for different times a year.
Now, is there things that is there things that you try to find that are like, you're talking about these exotic cheeses. Is there a lot of like different things coming out now?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure I'll see what's up next a lot at ACS 2019 Festival of Cheese.
Now, whenever you say exotic cheese, like break that down a little bit.
I guess, that's a really good question, man, because what is exotic cheese?
I feel like any cheese, I feel like whenever I think of it being an outsider, I think of exotic cheese as like, the shit that you we see all this like cookie cutter shit in like our
Right.
run of the mill Giant Eagles, whatever, and like you go there and you get one of them cheap bricks, but like whenever you start like getting the different brands, like if I go there and like I mean, do you think it has something to do with cost of exotic
Every single
cheese?
one of these cheeses was handmade.
And so that's the difference as far as like them cheese that right there. Those are all made by machines, pretty much.
It depends. We could talk about Manchego. You know Manchego?
No.
Manchego is from the Manchega sheep. It's a Spanish sheep smoked cheese. It's DOP name controlled, and you can get very different qualities of it.
Oh, okay.
There's producers that it's just not that great, but it's still DOP Manchego. So you have that. You have that you see in the big stores compared to the Manchego cheese that you would buy at my counter.
Yeah.
Also, like you've got, all the big production stuff. Your big production Colbys and Cheddars.
See, like I wouldn't consider that exotic.
It's not exotic. No, I don't think it's exotic. So I guess exotic is handmade, is made with care.
Yeah, taking a little bit, no shortcuts.
But yeah, people ask me that, and like a similar question is like something exciting, and it's always kind of, oh man, this is like all of this stuff's pretty exciting.
Well, it's like you look at you familiar with a thing called Hot Ones? Hot Ones is this YouTube channel where they interview celebrities while they're eating wings that increasingly go from smaller Scoville units to like crazy Scoville units. It's a really cool thing, but like you see with anything really, there's like been like there's a lot of like experimentation. Like they have hot sauces called like Chocolate Plague, and I know that I've tried a cheese that was called like a chocolate Merlot maybe or something like that. It was like a chocolate wine cheese, but like you have like coffee cheeses now and like all kinds of weird shit like that. Like that's what I think of whenever I think of like exotics, like something a little bit like different, out of the box a little bit. But I mean, I can understand what you're saying. More stuff that's like being taken care of, more being like more attention to detail.
To me, exotic, or I don't know, what I'm looking for is like cheeses that are cared for in the affinage and the process of aging them.
Yeah.
I look for the good affineurs.
Did you ever hear about
quality
them?
Milk made the right time of year.
Did you hear about them? That cave that was found with all the Parmesan in it that was worth like crazy money. Like they found like this vault of like old Parmesan cheese that was like hundreds and hundreds of years old.
Oh no,
I was
super cool.
Yeah, I was just googling random shit to try to like ask you about
something.
Yeah, because I saw like one of your photos on Instagram. You had that. It was like a vault almost of what was it called? It was called Buotanola Treviano Romano. Yeah, you had that room that you had a photo of like all those.
Yeah, that was really cool, and that's one of the last producers of Pecorino Romano Genuine, because they opened up Pecorino Romano production to Sardinia, I think in the 80s. So that's a DOP, that's a name-controlled cheese from Italy, and they opened up the region where you were allowed to make it. The thing that is that there's a much different climate in Sardinia, and there is a much different breed of sheep. So the product is much different.
Yeah, I mean,
to me, that Pecorino Romano Fulvi, genuine Pecorino Romano is exotic, and it's exciting because it's Roman style. It's made in the Roman countryside. I think that's really cool. I don't tend to go for the coffee flavored cheeses and stuff.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had one yet.
I've had quite a few.
Do you not like them usually?
Yeah, that stuff doesn't really grab me.
So that's basically just
I've been called a traditionalist. I've also been called a cheese hippie.
A cheese hippie.
Yeah, I mean, I like the real natural stuff. I like the real classic stuff.
That's like almost like showy to me.
On.
Like that's just showy to me, kind of.
Yeah,
where
and
like
it's like, well, what does your cheese taste like? That you got to cover it in coffee.
That's a good point. That's a real good point. Now,
and usually it just tastes like sweet. It tastes like there's a lactic
syrup in
starter.
there or something.
No, there's a specific lactic starter that's sold in bulk called Hella Viscous, and it's sweet, and a lot of that stuff's sweet. There are good companies that make artisanal cheeses that are flavored.
Now, what's your life like outside of cheese? Like, if you're not with cheese, and you're not working with cheese, and you're not doing all this cheese, what do you do for fun?
I have a beautiful wife and daughter.
Oh, you have a daughter?
I have a daughter, Avery Elizabeth
How old?
Ehrlichman. She just turned 4.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. And she also loves cheese.
Yeah,
She knew I was going to do some work tonight for cheese.
yeah.
And she asked me to bring her home some cheddar. I said I'm not going back to the store. But she helped me pick all these cheeses this morning.
Really?
I mean, she didn't actually pick them.
Yeah,
but
but
she was there.
She was there.
She's
she
my
put in
helper.
enough. That's awesome.
So yeah, that's a lot of my life is hanging out with my daughter and my wife.
Yeah. Are they both cheese fans? Like, I'm sure that you expose them to.
Yeah, they're both big cheese fans. Avery tries to eat things just to impress me.
Oh, okay.
She'll drink San Pellegrino.
Yeah, and definitely not like
and
it.
Definitely not like it. And I mean, she's 4, and she'll try every cheese that I have her try.
Yeah.
But she's gotten sick on cheese.
Oh, yeah?
I let her try some like washed rind Taleggio, and she said, "Yeah, real good, Dad." And then she went to the other room and she started gagging and she got sick.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
But she tries so hard to impress me with the food stuff, which is good because I don't want her to have that, you know,
The picky eat taste.
yeah, forget about that.
For
you
sure.
know.
There's so much good shit.
There's so much good shit.
Yeah, you have to like people that just get like contained into like certain foods, there's so many different things.
To speak to that, I am so grateful that I ended up in my position and that I stuck with my position, and I've gotten to experience so much wonderful food because it has had such a huge impact on my life.
Oh, I bet.
And just in the way that I feel. I mean, I always feel grateful that I have gotten to taste so many things and see so many cool things and, be a part of so many people's routines.
Absolutely.
Through the years. It's very cool. And I'm glad that I got out of that box with food.
For sure. What's your
Because-
favorite place you've traveled?
I mean, my whole Italy trip was pretty insane.
Yeah.
But I loved Piemonte, Italy. I loved Bergamo.
And you're just going around seeing different
Medieval,
cheeses?
Yeah, like probably the coolest cheese production. The biggest thing I watched the Parmigiano Reggiano production.
Yeah.
I ate the fresh curds
Oh, wow.
out of the cauldron. I mean, I've been to like Portland, Oregon is like amazing place. It's beautiful.
We're going there in October.
Yeah, you guys should go to Tillamook, man.
What's that?
They make cheddar cheese. Really cool company.
In Portland?
It's a big co-op. It's between, what is it, Route 80 maybe? I don't remember really the highway, but
We'll definitely
if
check
you
it
drive
out.
to the coast from Portland,
We'll find it, run
Yeah,
into
my
it.
aunt and uncle live in Portland.
Yeah,
She's
it
the
looks...
president of OMSI Museum of Science.
Really?
He plays jazz music. They're in their 60s. They're super cool.
Wow. Everyone in Portland, Oregon seems to be cool.
Everybody in Portland, Oregon is super cool.
There's so much cool shit, and like, I mean, you've been down there for like 15 years. So
Right.
being just in that vein of culture for all this time, like, I'm sure that you got to like you said, you eat different things, you see different things, you know different people, you talk to different people.
I've met a lot of cool people.
Yeah, I'm sure you have to meet so many different people because the Strip, I mean, I feel is like a tourist destination. Like if people
Right.
visit Pittsburgh, they go to the Strip, I feel.
I had lunch with Marianne Esposito a few weeks ago
Really?
from Cialitalia.
Why is that?
WQED, because I'm friends and because we are friends. She loves Penn Mac.
Oh, okay.
And she knows my bosses, and I have a long time friends with Chris Feathermore,
Oh yeah,
local QED guy.
yeah.
He's an awesome dude, very nice, regular customer. So he brought her in after they filmed a show together, and we had some stuff set up for them. And then I went and I grabbed her all the stuff that she wanted for her sandwich.
Yeah.
And it was all really simple stuff, man. She just wanted some nice prosciutto di Parma, a little bit of olive oil, and we had some like fresh mozzarella.
Yeah. See, I can't get down with fresh mozzarella.
I love it.
I want nothing to do with it.
Because you haven't had it good.
I just like,
You know.
I want more flavor to it.
Yeah.
You know, I just want more flavor to it.
Yeah.
I think the texture is a little bit strange for me too. I feel like whenever I bite it, it's going to taste like a marshmallow fluff,
Right.
but it's just kind of tastes like milk. You know,
It
chewy milk.
It should have some real milkiness.
Chewy milk.
You should come down, man.
I'm going to come down.
We'll try some.
I'm definitely going to come down and check you out.
And yeah, I don't know. You got to think about like what's the application. You know, like do you want a strong cheese on your pizza? You know, or do you want the mozzarella di bufalo?
Yeah. I mean, like we said, you can get as deep into it
But
as you
I
want
love.
to.
I mean, I had fresh buffalo milk curds. I mean, there's so many. Like, I like mild flavors that you have to look for too.
Yeah.
You know, you have to look for it. Like, you have to really look for what you're getting.
Ponder.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Look, what's your next move with all this? Like, if you're heading up all this cheese down at
next
Penn
trip?
Mac, no, I mean, like, what's your next move with like what you want to do? Like, do you want to expand more? Like, do you want to?
I want to be in my position for as long as I love it, and I plan on loving it. You know, I just want to expand our scope.
Yeah.
I want more people in our city loving cheese.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to offer them, you know, more in-depth knowledge and more options. I just want to continue down that path.
The knowledge is where I come into play, like where I like want to like, you know, try to help. That's why like I wanted to, you know, talk to you about all this stuff because like, you know, I obviously am an idiot when it comes to cheese and the terminology of it all, and that's why I feel like the podcast is like a good it's a good way for people to digest, you know, somewhat of knowledge, like some little bit of knowledge.
It definitely,
you know, like if you're
interest,
absolutely, if you're someone that's just like, you know, that enjoys experimenting with food and stuff like that, it's just like I figured, you know, speaking to you would give us a better way to like think about it, like whenever you're buying a cheese, whenever you're trying to find a certain cheese, like, and I don't know, it's always interesting to have people on here whenever it's something that I'm so like disconnected from, you know, like the beekeeper, everything like that. I always feel like an idiot talking, trying to like think of these crazy questions, but what can you do? You know what I mean? So how do you expand? How do you, you know, expand the people of Pittsburgh to love cheese more? Like, what do you do? What can you do?
I think you offer them different things and you pay attention to what kind of things you're bringing in at what time of year and what you can tell them that they can do with those things. For example, you know, raclette's blowing up.
What's that?
Raclette's a from Switzerland and France. It's a grill, so it basically grills cheese and you peel it down.
Oh, okay.
scrape it
Yeah.
off.
I've seen that.
They've really been blowing up. Well, I just bought a very nice raclette grill for the counter, so I could teach people how to make raclette, do raclette at home.
Really?
You know, coming into the winter months.
Oh,
So
wow.
stuff like that I think is super important. I definitely want to do more in-store after-hours stuff.
Yeah.
I did a whiskey tasting this year with Find Your Taste. Great guy, findyourtaste.com. It's like very cool people.
I guess that's weird too because it goes so well with like other things. Like cheese goes so well with
cheese goes so well with so many things.
wine, like, you know, liquor, whatever you want, and
Whatever you want.
Huh.
It's a perfect snack.
yeah, and I mean, like they got dessert cheeses, right? Like savory cheeses. It's pretty crazy. Like I guess, like we say, get as deep as you want into it. There's all different kinds of shit you can get into. I think that's a good way to think about it, though, as far as like, you know, different things to get more people involved with it. Like that, what you were just saying about like the raclette thing. Like that's the kind of shit that like people, you know, it's catchy. You know, as terrible as it is. You think of things that like I think of things that I see on like, you know, Instagram, like the things that people want to like, you know, almost like the touristy type things
Right.
that people see. They want to have those experiences. They want to see that.
They have every right to.
Yeah, I mean, like I've always wanted to eat pasta that was made in a wheel of cheese where they scrape it out. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Cacio e pepe?
No, I don't even know what that is.
It's really easy. My friend Tom taught me how to make it, but it's very easy.
Okay.
It's just freshly grated pecorino romano,
Okay.
You take some black peppercorns, freshly crushed, a little bit of butter, cook the pasta. You simmer the crushed pepper in the olive oil right before the pasta is out, like right as it's approaching al dente.
Yeah.
You move it from the pot to the oil. You add a little bit of the starchy pasta water, and you start mixing in the cheese, and it makes the cheese sauce.
Really?
It's amazing. It's so easy to make.
What is now? Let me ask you a couple questions, and then we're going to get to the ending segment of this podcast.
And we have 2 cheeses to try.
Oh, let's try them.
All right.
Which ones didn't we try? I'm
From
sorry.
Somerset.
This
we
one is
have
this one right
The
here.
Westcombe cloth-bound cheddar. So this is one of 3 cloth-bound cheddars from Somerset that are name controlled. Very cool. This comes to us through Neil's Yard Dairy.
It has a subtle smell. Very subtle.
Very horseradishy. Basement caves.
I love it.
And then your brie fermented.
Now that cheese right there is not crazy pungent. Still has a little bit, and I really like the texture of that.
It's got a really nice texture. It's the softer one of the Somerset cheddars that I've had.
Now where does that
All of them.
where does that lie up to as far as like like you were saying that
It has a lot of history.
that one does?
Yeah. So Parmigiano Reggiano, cooked curd cheese. That
Yeah.
recipe goes to England or to France when they invade the Gauls in
Okay.
a burn.
Yeah.
And that's where the Cantal comes from, which is a slightly more acidic, similar to Parmigiano Reggiano. It looks very similar to Parmigiano Reggiano.
Okay.
That recipe makes its way to England, and then that's where they do milled curd, which is what cheddaring.
Yeah.
And it's a way of, breaking down the curds. After World War II, all of the European cheeses were becoming name controlled, and England started doing like a traditional cloth bandaging to age their cheddars. And the 3 name controlled ones are Westcombe, Keynes, and Montgomery, and they're super good.
I really like
raw
that
milk.
one. I really like that one. That's really good.
Yeah, it's got a lot of depth.
It's it's like, I mean, if you sit there, I guess like people are just eating cheese and eating it because it's like part of a meal. But like, if you're actively sitting there trying to, taste the different things that are in there, you can definitely get as deep as you want with it. It's like the flavor notes and everything. All right, so let me get this brie.
This brie's nice. It's not super friendly, but it's not super harsh.
What do you mean friendly?
Like some of them are maybe just up front more butter and a light texture. This one has some like deep veggie kind of flavors.
No, I usually hate it, so I'm going to tell you. I'm going to be honest with you.
It's fair.
It smells like it smells like broccoli almost.
Yeah, it really is. It has a strong vegetal.
Yeah, it really does. Wow. Absolutely has a vegetable taste. 100% that you said that. Almost like a steamed broccoli. Like
Yeah, like broccoli water broth.
absolutely, that's what that is. Wow. That's not bad at all. I really like that.
Yeah, some of the other ones are just kind of generic, maybe.
Oh, that one's good. It definitely tastes just like broccoli water. That's funny you say that.
With a little butter and salt.
Yeah, a little bit. It's like the broccoli water from Texas Roadhouse you would get. Now, are you a cook? Like, do you cook?
I cook.
Do you enjoy it?
I enjoy it.
I
was a competitive bodybuilder for a few years.
Really?
A competitive amateur bodybuilder. And I'd always cooked for myself. But I would do all my own meal prep.
Yeah.
So I've been cooking, diligently.
That's good.
since then. But
Do you-
yeah, I love to cook for my family.
Do you incorporate cheese a lot into it?
Oh yes.
You got to, right?
Oh yes. I mean, I probably have a cheese meal once a week, where it's like just cheese. You know,
That's all right. Anytime we go anywhere that has like a charcuterie board or anything like that,
you got to get it.
gotta get it.
You gotta get it.
You know, it's like what now? Let me now. Here we go. This is where we're gonna get into this ending segment. And this is where I'm gonna start grilling you. Okay, so ending segment I do with all my guests is called Desert Island Questions. Desert Island Questions is a game I play with them. I give each guest 3 categories to take with them on a desert island to use over and over again until they die. So I'm going to switch this up a little bit, though. I'm going to ask you the 3 regular questions, but I'm also going to work in a few extras. Now, if you had to choose a place to have a charcuterie board in Pittsburgh, what's your go-to? Who do you think has the best? If you went to a restaurant and you had to get one, I know that you've been to some.
Yeah, I've been to some restaurants, and I don't want to pick any favorites. You know,
You can't pick a favorite?
Oh man, I mean, you know, you can get a really great cheese board at Cucina Bella.
Where's that?
It's in Bridgeville.
Cucina Bella.
And they make really nice pizzas.
Oh, maybe I've been there. I think I've been
it's
there.
really cool. Bring your own bottle. And they always have a great cheese selection from us on their cheese board. Velazzi's downtown always has a great cheese board. Always, you know.
I've been to that Cucina Bella.
Yeah, Carmen Cucina Bella, amazing place. Velazzi's always has great stuff, always has great apps, great cheese board. Oh man, I'm missing a million people.
That's all right. I understand. Don't feel bad about naming places. There's no problems with it.
Yeah, there's so many good places.
There's definitely good places. I mean, like, there's definitely people that do. I mean, there's a lot of people. I did see one at Enix Brewing. You ever hear of that place?
Mm-hmm.
It's in Homestead. I follow a girl that works there, but she always posts it. It looks incredible. I can't wait to go. I'm not a big prosciutto guy. Like, I don't really like it. I feel like it tastes like plastic.
You know, I love it. I really love the jamon iberico, though. I'm a jamon guy. The Spanish black pig.
I feel like I've never had.
And I ate so much prosciutto and Parmigiano in Parma, Italy, that my hands swelled. So
Really?
I love prosciutto.
Well, that's all right.
I love Spanish ham, though. Like acorn finished Spanish ham. That's the money.
Now, you get probably pretty in depth into it. Like,
I love that stuff.
You're surrounding yourself with all these.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I've been eating it for so many years.
you've had all
I love
different
it.
kinds.
I'm actually really excited about it. We just found Culatello is finally coming to the USA.
What's that?
Culatello is the upper part of the leg, the culo.
Okay. Really?
The buttocks. And it's aged in the bladder. And it's not been allowed in the U.S. ever. And
It's aged in the bladder.
yeah, and now they finally got the DOP okay to remove the bladder and then vacuum seal and send it. So in the coming months, you'll see authentic Italian Culatello, and that's really cool. It's the best cut of the Italian ham.
Wow.
It's
That
pretty
sounds crazy.
exciting. Yeah, it's sweet. It's nice. The Italian prosciutto is a little sweet. I love the fat in the Spanish stuff.
Wow.
I love it.
I feel like that after this conversation, like, I've never had anything really. You know, like, you're naming all these, and I'm just like, I have no clue
I've
what
been
you're saying.
super lucky to try a lot of food a lot of times.
Well, you're, like I said, you're in this, like, concentrated area where you have all kinds of dope-ass shit that's, like, you know, constantly around you. And you're one of the ones that's dealing with it all.
right. Yeah,
Picking it all out.
I get to do the purchasing on a lot of the meats.
That's good.
And then also David Sinceri does a lot of the purchasing on a lot of the meats too, and I purchase pretty much all the cheeses. So I pick, I get to pick what I like for everybody.
That's great.
And, I definitely try to listen to what everybody likes.
You got to, right? You got to appeal to the customers.
Absolutely.
All right, so the first normal desert island question that I ask everyone is things to take with you to watch on a desert island. So you get 3 choices to take with you, 3 things to watch. Anything, could be TV shows, movies, whatever you'd like. 3 choices.
Like a TV series?
You can pick a whole series. Like if you like The Office, you can pick it all.
It's not going to be The Office.
You don't like
But
The Office?
I do like The Office, but
Okay.
it's not going to be The Office.
It's a shame.
Sorry. It's going to be Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Okay.
Love it.
Okay.
I've been watching it for 20 years.
You're a big Trekkie?
Oh, I love it.
I'm
I'm a Trekkie for my entire life.
My brother, so my cousin and his dad were always into it, always watching it. I
Right.
fucking hated it. And my brother...
It's easy to hate.
It's super easy,
to
especially
hate.
if you didn't grow up in it.
Oh, I grew up with it. But yeah, no, it's easy to hate.
See,
Yeah,
he's
I
30.
love it.
He's 37, so like he was like in his peak years of when it was on TV, and they were trying to feed it to me after, and it
Right.
just I wanted nothing to do with it. But now my brother, in the last 4 years, he's watched every Star Trek episode ever put out. He put in some serious time.
I do it every so many years. I often am watching Star Trek when I go to sleep.
Star Trek Next Generation.
Yeah. But also, gotta shout out to Voyager and DS9.
Okay.
You know.
Dead Space Nine? Is
Deep Space- Deep Space
Space
Nine.
Nine.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Star Trek.
So
I just
other than
can't do
Star
it.
Trek, I like a lot of stuff.
That's all right.
Music was on the
No. Just
No,
things
no,
to
no,
watch.
Just things to watch. I mean, Game of Thrones. I'm into that right now.
Yeah, I did not watch it. I'm probably like one of like 10 people in the world.
I'm not going to put Game of Thrones on there.
No.
No, I'm going to have to say though, Breaking Bad.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's probably the best show.
Do you think that?
cover to end?
Do you think that Jesse and Walter White are? You saw them like teasing things online, right?
No.
They've been like putting out a bunch of teasers of like maybe a movie or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of shit. And they just keep saying they'll post a picture of both of them and it'll just say soon. And no one knows what that means. There's been rumors of a movie coming out, but like I feel like they're just bullshitting everyone. Just trying to.
Yeah, they're probably just messing around.
Yeah,
man.
probably messing around because like
'Cause
how could they redo
do
it?
I hope they don't mess with it. It was so good.
So good. It's one of the best shows for sure. From beginning to end, it really was fantastic.
Yeah, from the beginning to end, it was fantastic. The writing was so good.
Yeah.
I was hard into The Walking Dead for a while.
Ugh.
But
I loved it.
It's just
When did you
melted.
stop? When did you stop?
I stopped when they released Negan, but I was holding on. Like
I stopped.
Negan was a little bit of lifeblood. Like the character.
Fuck yeah, like
was
after he killed
definitely
Glenn?
like a lifeblood into the show.
Yeah, it was a spark. We were
it was a spark.
This
and
could
then,
happen.
I don't know, just everything that happened around him.
Once
Like,
them,
not him, not his character, but all that other stuff, and then they let him go, and then it was like
once them garbage people came in,
it was. I was just gonna say with the junkyard, I was like, huh,
Hey,
and I
keep
didn't.
it.
I didn't tune back in.
keep it.
Yeah,
That's-
keep it.
It's
Keep
just
it.
like
it's over. All
I
right,
gave
they defeated Negan.
I gave all that time to them. Like I gave so much time to Walking Dead, and as soon as like they ruined it because the governor was one of the best parts of the entire show. The governor and the prison and all that, and you're just like,
the
damn,
governor thing was great.
so unreal. And then it goes to Negan, and you're like, oh, this thing is going to be badass. Like he like crushes people's heads, and like
he's a beast.
like it was such a good character. But then you're like, it starts to dissolve. Once Rick got with Michonne, you're just like, this is a fucking soap opera
what the
now.
Fuck was that? And also like some of the way of Negan's interest in the boy.
Yeah.
was kind of like
Weird.
It was like, well, I mean, I thought that they already did a good job of showing Negan's truth.
Yeah, he shot him in the eye.
and like I mean, he was a good guy in a bad world, or a bad guy in a bad world. I don't know. Like, he's understandable. He's an understandable character. I don't think that added anything to it.
I just feel like that. I don't know. I had to stop watching it, but supposedly it's done now. They ended it, which is
They ended the show?
yeah, the show's done. The actual comic is done
the
now.
comic is done?
Yeah, they ended it on Wednesday, I think. But and then they had and then like I guess like I don't know what's going on with it right now, but it's too much to do. But Walking Dead was definitely cool for a minute. But okay, so you got Star Trek, you got Breaking Bad. And what is the third one?
Down by Law.
What's that?
What is it? Jarmesh, with Tom Waits and like a bunch of crazy ass people.
This is old?
It's an old movie, or any of this. I think Steve Jarmesh, is that his name? I'm saying the wrong guy's name. He's the director. He did like Cigarettes and Coffee, Down by Law, Dead Man with Johnny Depp.
Oh, I have seen that.
Yeah.
Dead Man.
Maybe I'd bring Dead Man. I don't know. Something weird.
Yeah, weird movies.
Yeah.
I like weird movies. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. Now I want you to pick. The second category is: do you read at all? So, second category is 3 things to take with you to read.
Can I take my iPad?
No. Gotta be. It got to be things to read. But I'll let you take like periodicals.
Okay.
You know, something like that. No idea.
No idea.
All right. Well,
Because I would be on a desert island.
yeah, but
You know.
that's what I'm saying. You got a favorite book or anything? If you don't want to do that, you could pick 3 of your favorite cheeses of all time.
I could do that.
3 favorite cheeses of all time?
Yeah.
All right. Well, instead of things to read, pick,
I think my books are like too cliche, man.
like what?
Like Walden Pond, On the Road, or On the Road. Like that's
Jack
like,
Kerouac?
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I really like if I'm not reading just articles on
That's fine.
stuff.
Pick that. What do you think other people pick?
Yeah.
Steve Turner said he wanted to take dairy books. You know, there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah, and I mean, I love reading like Cheese Primer, Steve Jenkins, and Mastering Cheese Lessons for Connoisseurship. Like those are definitely some of my go-to reads.
There you go. Those are good answers.
Right.
Why not? Why not take it?
Yeah, they're so cliche, you know.
That's all right. I think of like things that I would read. Like if I had to take 3 books with me, I would probably be The Outsiders, Fiend, and my other favorite book, probably my most favorite book that I've ever read, was I Am Legend. You know, the Will Smith movie.
Yeah.
I read it like 4 years before the movie came out, and the book is 1,000,000 times better than it.
It's always better.
1,000,000 times better of it. I've never read the Harry Potters though. I would love to read all them.
All the what's his name? He did Fight Club.
Oh, Chuck Palahniuk.
I read all those in high school. I loved it.
Yeah, he's great. He really is. A lot of his shit is weird.
I've
I
kind
did.
of fallen out of it.
I like Fight Club, the movie, better than the book, 100%. But he also has great books. Like he has a book called Snuff. Did you read that?
Is it the short stories?
No, it's like about
I
like
haven't read anything in the last like 5-10 years.
like this girl was like a porn star and she's like trying to set a record for like the most people in one movie, but like someone kills her or whatever, and it's just a wild movie. But yeah, I like all that shit for sure. Okay, so yeah, you pick 3. That's definitely enough. Now the last category is things to listen to on a desert island. So you could pick 3 CDs.
I'm going to say Andrew Jackson Jihad, People Who Eat Other People Are the Luckiest People.
Okay.
Bob Dylan, Blood on the Tracks.
All right.
Thelonious Monk. Oh. Round Midnight.
All right. Those are good answers. Why not, right?
But it's really hard. I really like a lot of music. I spend a lot of time listening to music.
That's the hardest part about it is desert island is the shit that immediately
Right.
pops
But
into your head.
I think that all 3 of those could definitely cover any kind of
Mood.
mood. You know?
Absolutely.
Like I definitely listen to AJJ if I want to do something.
Yeah.
Trying to relax, I'll put on Thelonious. And I always love Blood on the Tracks.
Yeah, why not? Little Bob Dylan? Can't
Yeah.
beat that. Okay, so the second to last question that I ask everyone is a death row meal. So death row meal is you could have whatever you want from wherever you want, as much as you want. Things to eat.
Roasted pork belly and potatoes.
Roasted pork belly and potatoes?
Yeah.
All right. Damn,
Or-
that was pretty quick.
Yeah. There's an or like roasted beef cheek.
Okay. I did
Also
have...
with potatoes.
I've had beef cheeks before. I have had them. I had them at Streets on Carson's one year dinner. He made them there. Real good. That was probably the only time I've ever had them, though.
Los Palmos always has beef cheek tacos on Wednesdays, I believe.
I hear that they have great tacos.
They have great tacos. They're wonderful.
Huh.
Especially the beef cheek.
I'm going to have to try that out for sure. Okay. Now, the last question that I ask everyone is if you could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why? You couldn't even imagine the answers that I get whenever I ask people. You're going to be episode 78. Talk to 78. Really talk to 80 people. But I've had every type of answer you could ever imagine.
I mean, I think my head's really, going to like a really scary person, like Kim Jong-un or Putin or something. And just because it would be so intense.
Yeah, it would
You know,
definitely
just
be fucking
because of
crazy.
the intenseness of it. Like other people that like famous people that I don't know, like I always kind of feel like, all right, like if I talked to them, what would that, I don't care.
Yeah.
I like them for their art or whatever.
That's a good point.
They produce.
That would be interesting to talk
I've
to
met
someone.
some really amazing people in my industry that I've been able to talk to. So that's why I can't really think of somebody from that point.
Do you know Brian Ganella? He's an artist in Pittsburgh. He picked Stalin to talk to. And
Right, Stalin would be amazing. And then, you think dead. Right.
anyone alive or dead. But, he picked him. And, like, you're thinking, you're like, that would be interesting to talk to him for sure. And it would be interesting to talk to anyone else, even if they were, like, fucking bad.
Right.
it would
Yeah,
be
not because
interesting.
I like them, just because,
Yeah, obviously you're not like
wow, like, what is that person like to sit down with?
yeah, you know what I mean?
You
It would be
know?
insane to see what Kim Jong-un is like
I
killing
mean,
his uncles
it would
and
be
shit.
so, you imagine you'd be rushed around, you'd be briefed.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark Maron talked to President Barack Obama, and like he talked about how like Obama went to his garage where he did his podcast. You familiar with Mark Maron?
No.
Mark Maron is an incredible podcaster, writer, whatever. But he had Obama over his house last year, and like he was talking about how fucking crazy it was, like how they closed down the entire block. There's like big ass tents set up where you like can't see anything, and it's pretty intense. It would be intense to talk to one of them for sure. But that's an interesting answer. Not a bad answer at all. All right. Well, I mean, I appreciate you coming over and trying to explain some cheese.
Thank you.
It's,
Thank you so much for having me.
This was very interesting. It's definitely, I tried to keep up. Hopefully, I kept up enough. Now, take a second and promote anything you want to promote.
Come down and see us, 2010 Penn Avenue.
Yeah.
We've got all the cheese. We've got all the Italian specialties.
Yeah. Anything you want down there. They got unsweetened Turner's tea. One of few places that I've seen it.
We will get you any Turner's product you desire.
Any Turner's product.
Yeah, we've got the Turners.
Yeah, I mean, I have. I've been to a bunch of different places, and yinz are the only ones that has the unsweetened tea.
Check out our website, www.pennmac.com.
There you go. Follow the Instagram, Penn Mac Co.
Follow the Instagram, Penn Mac Co. That's me.
Yeah.
Also, Penn Ave Cheese Guy. That's me.
Yeah. You run both the Instagrams?
I run both the Instagrams.
Oh, okay. That's what's up. All right. Well, I mean, I appreciate it.
And then I share the Facebook with Rose McNeil. She
okay.
works for us for over 20 years, I think. Yeah.
Rose.
Yeah, she does. All of our internet customers know her.
Shout out to Rose.
Shout out to Rose.
Shout out to Rose.
PennMac.com.
Shout out to Penn Mac in general, holding it down since 1902. Everyone else that's listening, thank you very much for listening as always. I hope you enjoyed this cheese. Try the cheese, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. Check out my website, I'llCallYouRightBack.com. Check me out on Instagram, @I'llCallYouRightBack. I'll call you right back across the boards. Thanks again, and I'll call you right back.